Hey Flosstube! So this is my first one, so forgive me if I'm super awkward in it because I'm just an awkward person. My sister filmed a Flosstube and inspired me to do so, as big sisters do. I also thought it might get me motivated to actually work on some things because I have been struggling with that a lot lately. So I'll just start by introducing myself. My name is Mandy. I am 29, turning 30 this year, which is exciting. I have been quilting for about over 10 years now. I started, I think, when I was 15 years old. And cross-stitching just for the past 2-ish years. I did some Christmas stockings before that. But really kind of just got into cross-stitching in the past couple of years thanks to my mother. I remember one Christmas I was visiting her and she was watching Flosstube, and I'm like, what is that? She's like, oh, it's videos where people cross-stitch and tell you about it and all this stuff. And I remember thinking, that's really lame. I will not do that. Fast forward a month and I was full-blown into the cross-stitching. Just went overboard. And interestingly enough, my style has changed a lot since then. And so some of the things that I first started working on will probably remain unfinished forever because I just don't, they're not my style anymore. But so I blame my mom for that, and then slowly we've kind of pulled my sister into cross-stitching. She is a much heavier quilter and sewer, but she has been picking up some cross-stitch lately, which is pretty exciting, and she beat me to the gun at filming a Flosstube video. So what do I do for a living? So I am, if you can see in my shirt, a physician assistant, a PA. I've been a PA for about almost 6 years now, which is crazy. I was in rheumatology for about 4.5 years, and then just December started a new job at the local PA school in town. So I'm a faculty member now there, which I'm super pumped about. I've kind of wanted this job for a while. I feel like I've always wanted to teach and just kind of got sidetracked, went into the medical field instead. But one of the beautiful things about being a PA is that you can teach and be a PA. So I'm super excited getting my feet wet with that. So that's been really, really fun recently. It's been interesting starting a teaching job during a pandemic. So none of the students are in class, which is super hard for them and hard for faculty, including me, who's getting onboarded and everything. But I'm really, really excited about what that job is going to turn into. Family life. I am married to the best husband in the entire world, in my opinion. His name is Chris. He is wonderful. We've been married for 4 years this year, I believe. 4 years this June. We dated for all of, I think, 6 or 7 months before we got engaged, and my whole family was like questioning and doubting whether or not it was meant to be. And I was like, look, trust me. I'm a believer, and the Lord just kind of, it's a pretty awesome story that if anyone's interested in, I'll tell. But head over heels, and now I don't think my family can imagine Chris not being my husband, just because he's tailor-made for me, in my opinion. We are expecting our first baby. Woo! In 6 weeks. I'm so excited. I do not like being pregnant. And I say that very grateful that I am pregnant, because I know that's a struggle for a lot of people. But it's not been a pleasant experience for me by any means. Again, grateful that it's a boy. His name is James. Grateful that he is healthy and everything is going well so far. But am I counting down the days? Yes, I am. So I'm super excited. for him, pregnancy has kind of derailed my creative side. So first trimester, I just didn't have any interest in doing anything. I laid around all day, which is pretty common apparently. Got home, went to bed at 6 o'clock, woke up at 7 a.m. the next day, and just essentially worked and lived. Second trimester was a little bit better. A lot better. A lot better as far as energy levels, but I still didn't really get my creative mojo back. And then third trimester has been the probably most difficult one so far. And so I really haven't had the want or gumption to do anything. So I've been struggling with that, and cross-stitching and quilting is a big part of my identity. And so I kind of feel like that's gotten lost in the shuffle during this time. And so I'm really trying hard to kind of get it back. But only 6 weeks left, and then it's trying to figure out how to keep a little newborn alive, whilst getting, hopefully, a couple hours of sleep a night. So very excited about him. But one of the whips I'll show you is a cross-stitch stocking that I'm making for him. So me and my husband both have one, and I love them. They are very sentimental to me, and I love hanging them up every year, and it really kind of makes Christmas special for me. So I really want to get his done this Christmas. I don't know how well that's going to work out, but we're going to try. So I'm trying really hard to work on that a lot. Have I cross-stitched in the past week? No, I have not. But again, hoping this video will kind of give me some gumption to do that. So that is that. Some of my other interests. So I do garden. I like to garden. It's my cat that's about to come into the picture. That's Rex. He loves his dad, and his dad is working today, not at home for the first time in over a year because he started a new job. So he's been a little bit needy. Anyways, I don't know where I was at. Oh, gardens. I like to garden. I've done vegetable gardening for the past several years now, and I'm starting to get some into flowers. So I love watching Garden Answer. Their YouTube videos are really inspirational and really kind of quick, easy things that you can do. So I got a greenhouse this year for Christmas, thanks to my husband. And so I started a whole bunch of seeds in January, flower seeds and tomato seeds and all that good stuff. And then we had Snowmageddon 2021, where in North Louisiana, we had a week of ice and snow on the ground. So everything died almost. But we are slowly making a comeback. My garden will not be what I would like it to be this year for that reason. Also because of the baby. But thankfully I do have some vegetables planted. And so that's helped me quite a bit to still find enjoyment in that. And then I'm also into healthy lifestyle, not a ton, but I do like to use clean products, cleaning products. When I feel up to it, I like to cook pretty darn healthy and incorporate a lot of vegetables and stuff in there. And so that's kind of another thing that I would say defines me, or that I enjoy doing. So that's a long introduction to who I am. Thankfully, this is the first video, so you won't have to go hear all that boring stuff every single time. But we will jump into cross-stitching now. So like I said, my mom got me into cross-stitching about 2.5 years ago, so I finished quite a few pieces so far. So I'll start by showing you the stocking for my son. That's really weird to say. It's weird to hear it. Let me go get the picture of what it's going to look like. So quick story about the stocking. When I found out I was pregnant back last fall, I actually bought a stocking before we knew what the gender was going to be, so just a gender neutral stocking. Started stitching it. I got maybe 5% done with it, so not that far. And then put it down and just did not work on it since then. And it was actually when I was watching my sister's Flosstube video. She started talking about one of her stockings that she was working on, and one of the reasons she just kind of quit working on it was because she didn't like it anymore. And a light bulb kind of went off on my head that I just didn't like that stocking anymore. I obviously liked it when I bought it a couple months before, but just didn't feel like my son's stocking. So after that, I bought a new stocking. And so this is what it's going to look like. So that's a picture of the final product. So I got it in January, I think, and this is what I have done so far with it. So I've gotten pretty far for someone who just started about a couple months ago. Again, I really need to get back working on it because I have not cross-stitched in a minute. So any motivation will help. So that is the big project that I'm working on this year. I also really like how Priscilla and Chelsea, I don't think they do it so much anymore, but how they used to do stitching for particular days of the week. So I try to do that too when I'm really feeling into cross-stitching and feeling up to it. And so I'll kind of show you my whips that I've been working on sporadically by the days of the week. So that is Santa Sunday. Santa Sunday is my stocking, so I try to work on that Sunday. And then, I do that for Merry Monday too, of course. So I work on that for Santa Sunday, Merry Monday. Tuesday, I do spring. I do not have a cute saying for it, but spring it is. And so I've been working on the Bloom chalk fold jar, which I unfortunately don't think I have the picture for, but this is how much progress I've made so far. So I absolutely love these jars. I think they stitch super quick. So this I've worked on maybe 8 hours, maybe, but it comes together really, really quickly, and I love stitching those jars. My favorite is I haven't stitched it yet, but my favorite is the Liberty jar. It was the first one that they came out with, and I think it was a retreat one, so you had to wait a whole year before you actually got that one. But I absolutely love those jars. This is actually the first time that I signed up for Fat Quarter Shop's Stitchy Club or whatever it's called. So they would just ship me the kit, the pattern, the floss, the fabric, and everything. And I really, really, really loved that. So I loved that Stitchy Club. I plan on hopefully doing more of those just once I can find a good club that I like to do. So that is what I stitched on Tuesday. For Wednesday, Witchy Wednesday. So this pattern, I like a lot. So this is, let me see, Basket Full of Autumn by Brenda Gervais. I really think this pattern is cute. This was one of the ones that I started way back when I first started cross-stitching, and I really didn't have a good feel of what my style was or what I liked and didn't like. And so this one I actually started on Ada that I coffee tea dyed, and I'm not too far into it. But I have a lot of things. I did Mania my first year, so I think 2019 I did Mania, and so I have a bunch of projects from that. That was before I tried stitching on anything other than Ada, and I really just am not a fan of Ada. I'm not a fan of how it looks when it's done. So this one I like enough to keep it. Some of my other ones that I've stitched on Ada, I thankfully didn't get that far into it, but I'm gonna kind of nix that project and most likely restitch it on Monaco or linen. I love stitching on both of those. I think Monaco is my favorite just because I've been doing that the most, even weave. But linen I've really liked stitching on too. It's just a little bit more expensive, and so I tend to try to keep things cheap because I, according to my husband, do not have a lot of self-control when it comes to buying things for myself. So that's Witchy Wednesday. And then Thursday, I don't have anything set for Thursday. I just, again, try to stitch on my stocking that day. Fall Friday, I have been working on hands-on design. So this is Let's Talk Autumn by Hands-on Design. And there are 3 patterns, so the big one and then the 2 smaller ones come in the chart as well. So I'm working on the big one. And I've gotten pretty far on this one since I started it. So this is what it looks like. And I just absolutely love how this looks. This black fabric is actually some of the Ada, or it is the Ada that I got sent for the Chockful Stitchy Club. As you can see, I finished the Halloween Chockful. Again, love these jars so much. And I just have not FFO'd it, but it's on the same piece. They give you quite a large piece of fabric. And so I love having so much extra fabric now because I have black Ada that I can stitch whatever I want to on. I mentioned already how I didn't like Ada. I like black Ada. I don't think I'm skilled enough yet to, / patient enough yet to be able to stitch on black Monaco or linen because that seems a bit hard. And I'm into easy right now. So that is Fall Friday. And then for Stars and Stripes Saturday. So my 2 favorite seasons to stitch are 100% Halloween. I love everything Halloween stitchy related. My favorite thing I've stitched so far has probably been Lizzie Kate's Halloween Rules, and I just absolutely love how that turned out. And then my second favorite is going to be Patriotic. I have no idea where that came from. I am not someone who typically celebrates 4th of July. My family has never really celebrated 4th of July. But for whatever reason, I love stitching 4th of July. And don't get me wrong, I am very, very happy that I live in the United States, and I'm all about freedom. I do love American history, but just like decorating for it, never did that. It never really did anything for me. But here we are. So this is from Madame Chantilly, Celebrate 4th of July. And I love Madame Chantilly. I would like to meet her one day. She is French, I believe, and lives in France, I'm pretty sure. Please correct me if I'm wrong. And I just think it's so neat how she does 4th of July for Americans. And I'm sure America is a big cross-stitch marketplace. But I would like to also learn about Bastille Day, if I'm pronouncing that right, in France. I love French culture. I've never been to France, but I've never met her, but I really like Madame Chantilly for some reason. I'd like to meet her. So this is on linen. So this is a big chart. It's quite a large chart. So I'm stitching it on linen. trying to get it all in the camera. I'm bad at this. I'm sorry, guys. This is my first one. And I just love this tier tray. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. I have several more of hers that I plan on stitching. It just takes a while, which I'm completely fine with because, again, I love that pattern so much. So I would like to get that done maybe this year. Probably not, but maybe. But once I get that done, my next patriotic stitching is going to be the chock full Liberty jar. So again, can't wait to stitch that one. I've been wanting to stitch it for a very long time. So those are all of my current whips. I have a lot more whips. Probably 20 to 30 more, which is embarrassing to say, but that's okay. That's what we're here for. So that is my kind of stitchy update. I do have haul, interestingly enough. So my parents, or my mom and sister were in town last weekend. She threw me a beautiful baby shower. And so I have a local brick and mortar needle workshop, so we went there, and I was not intending on buying a pattern. I did, however, buy a pattern. So I have never heard of this designer before, Erica Michaels. And I just absolutely fell in love with this whole kind of crossword Scrabble type design. I think it's absolutely adorable. So I am super pumped to stitch this in about 10 years when I actually have the time. And then I bought some floss to go with that as well. So that is my stitchy update. I'm going to kind of do this like my sister did. So what she did was she breaks it down into cross stitch first. So if that's kind of where your interest stops, you can sign off at that point and not waste any of your time, because no one wants to do that. And then get into quilting stuff. I do quilt as well. Like I mentioned, that's been that's been even slower going than cross stitch. And then I think I'm going to include some garden updates. Again, it's nothing special by any means, but hey, why not? So quilting wise, I'll kind of move on to that. Quilting wise, my sister kind of guilted me into making my son a baby quilt. I wasn't going to, because I knew a lot of people were going to make him baby quilts, and a lot of people made him baby quilts. I think I have 10 or more baby quilts for him. So the plan is to just scatter them around the entire house in cars for him to just lay on and play on and all that fun stuff. But she still guilted me. This was before I knew how many baby quilts I was going to get. She still guilted me into making him a baby quilt. So I started working on this pattern. These are not the colors, but this is what it's going to look like. And it's just a blue and white quilt. So I have a couple of blocks done. I actually have some sewn together. So here's one block, but in the quilt, when it's put together, they'll be sewn together diagonally, so it'll look like that. So that's one fabric. This is another fabric. So again, it'll look like that. So I'm just sewing away on this quilt. I actually started working on it at the yearly quilt retreat that I go to. And so there's 15-ish ladies there that quilt. So we're all in this giant room together, just quilting and sewing away. And so one of the ladies walks by and she says, "Oh, look at the cute cats." And I'm like, "What?" So it's called tracks, right? So that's what it looks like. But really, it looks like a cat. I mean, cat ears and cat face. So I was like, okay, this is a cat quilt now, because once I saw that, I couldn't unsee it. I have 2 cats. You met one briefly. So I was not upset about it being a cat quilt. What the hey. I was actually going to plan on quilting it with some whiskers on these cats. But as I was stitching it, it just didn't feel like my quilt. So I think what I'm going to do is actually gift this to a friend of mine who also likes cats and has 2 cats. We're cat ladies together. She doesn't know it yet, and I don't think she'd ever watch this video, so hopefully I'm not ruining anything. But we actually were pregnant together. We were due about 2 weeks apart. And so I am 35 weeks tomorrow. So she was due in May, beginning of May, and I'm due kind of end of April. She actually had her little boy very early, so she was 30 weeks when she went into labor, and they couldn't stop it, so she had him. He's doing good. They're in the NICU now. He is gaining quite a bit of weight, so that's wonderful. She texted me that he's off of oxygen now, and so they're doing beautifully, but less time than I anticipated to make a quilt for said baby. But just through all of that, I really kind of feel like this quilt is more hers than mine. And I initially was going to make it into a baby size quilt for my son. But instead, I think what I'm going to do is just make it into a lap size quilt for her house, just to have around. I have fabric to make her a baby quilt for her son, Samuel is his name. That fabric, unfortunately, hadn't come in yet by the time that we had our quilt retreat. So I was going to just spend the whole retreat working on that pattern. But because it didn't come in, I worked on this quilt instead. And so, what I'm going to do is, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to work on that a little bit more and try to finish that one, or if I'm just going to do the baby quilt now, because I do have that fabric in, and go from there. So if any of you follow me on Instagram, this is a complete side note. We're gonna play around with this. I don't know how to do this. Nope, that took a picture. Oh well, we're going to flip the camera around. So that's my backyard. And I don't know if you can see the little gray cat right there. And the bird feeder. But this morning, while I was working from my home office, not that cat, another cat, they're both my neighbor's cats, hopped from the ground to the bird feeder and got a bird. And it was very traumatic for me, because I love these birds. Apparently they're not smart enough to run away whenever they see a cat nearby, but that's besides the point. Thankfully, he just pounced and didn't get anything, because I have been, for the rest of the day, running out and chasing the birds away whenever the cats are near, because they don't seem to know that cats eat birds and they need to run away when they see a cat. Side note, I apologize. I just did not want to witness another bird die today. So, I'll be right back. So, for the baby quilt, the pattern that I'm going to do, I don't have it with me, but it's called Homespun by Moderly Morgan. Love this pattern so much. I love the scrappy version of it. I'm just super excited for this pattern. And so my friend kind of told me what colors they were going to use for their nursery. And so I just got a bunch of solids. So it's grays and blues. And there's going to be some tans in there and browns. And so this is the fabric that I will be using to quilt that pattern. or that quilt. So I'm excited. I really do need to get on it because, again, he is going on 3 weeks old, and hopefully will be coming home from the NICU quite soon. It will probably not be done by the time that I have my baby, and so it'll probably be a while after that. But I'm excited to make it. The designer, Moderly Morgan, is actually having a quilt along that starts today. And my sister was texting me last night, and she's like, "Are you going to sign up for the quilt along?" And I was like, "I really wasn't planning on it. Are you?" And she didn't know. She was on the fence because she's got a lot going on, including an almost 18-month-old daughter that worships her. And I told her, "Let me know if you decide to do it. I might decide to do it. It might motivate me to actually work." And so she texted me at like 5 a.m. She's like, "I'm going to do it. I signed up for it." I'm like, okay. So I will probably sign up for that and start posting on Instagram that. But pregnancy has made me very lazy. Again, that's why I need motivation to actually get up and do stuff. So that's the quilty portion of this. There's not a lot to show, and there probably will not be a lot to show, but I will keep you guys updated as to whether or not I actually get motivation to do something. So let me know if you have any questions about that. And then the last piece, like I said, is gardening. So I will put you guys on pause and take you outside in my backyard. All right, so we are outside on this beautiful day. So I live in North Louisiana, Zone 8B, if that means anything to you. So thankfully, the frost has passed from what we know. So I'll just kind of walk you through. I apologize that this is probably going to be bad quality, but I have several raised beds that my saint of a husband built me. So before the cold snap, I planted all of these radishes because apparently they only take about 30 days to actually produce radishes, and that sounded pretty awesome to me. I have never had radishes before, so hopefully I like them. And then in here, it's hard to see, but I have some carrots popping up. I planted both of these before Snowmageddon, and thankfully they're all kind of doing good. I covered them up. And in the back half of the garden, I planted some peppers. And I just planted those this weekend. I actually tried to grow peppers, one of the things that didn't survive, unfortunately, with Snowmageddon. And then I planted a bed of tomatoes Saturday. Tomatoes are my favorite. I like to can. So I can salsa and pasta sauce. I'm mostly doing salsa this year because we did not eat. I still have a lot of pasta sauce in the cans. And then planted some romaine lettuce plants. I do have some seeds that are starting to kind of come up, but I just went ahead and bought some plants as well. Planted some spinach from seeds, so that's all doing good, and that survived the frost. And then we have my little strawberry patch. So a lot of these were from last year, and then I just expanded it some this year. I also had strawberry plants that I grew from roots that were in the greenhouse whenever the Snowmageddon happened, and they did not survive. So lots of things didn't survive. I have ranunculuses. I don't know if that's how you say it, but beautiful flowers. I absolutely love them, and all like 30 of them died, and that was heartbreaking, but alas. And then this is an experimental patch. So I wanted to do some tulips, And so I'm super excited at how these are coming, blooming. And then I even have a purple one that's coming up. So I'm really excited about that. So that is my garden. I'm out of breath because that's what pregnancy does to you, apparently. And I was gonna like do my whole front garden bed this year, make it really nice, and then Snowmageddon happened, and so instead of having a nice garden, we have just dead brown plants everywhere almost. This is my honeysuckle that actually has buds on it, so maybe it's not completely hopeless. But that is my garden update. So, part 3 of this video is done. So that is it. Again, hopefully I can have motivation to actually work on stuff. I will let you guys know in the next video as to whether or not I did sign up for that sew along and how that quilt is coming. But the good thing about that quilt along is that it is 6 weeks, so that'll bring me hopefully to baby, so maybe take my mind off of the last 6 weeks of this pregnancy. So thank you for watching if you made it all the way through, and I will maybe be back for video number 2 before I go into labor. But if not, wish me luck, because I am super excited and super ready to have this kid out of me. Y'all have a good one.